Simple ways to stop emotional eating and take back control. Hey team, and welcome to this week's episode of The Inspired Show, the show that's dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself, mentally as well as physically. If you've not subscribed to the channel yet, please make sure you subscribe. That means you get updated every single time we upload a brand new episode. And don't forget to smash a like on this video if you find it helpful, and let us know any thoughts and takeaways in the comments as well. And don't forget to share this with somebody who may benefit from today's episode. Also, you can reach us on all our social media handles in the captions down below, where we post content every single day on helping you become the best version of yourself, plus access to our exclusive community down below by following the link. Today's episode is all about simple ways to manage emotional eating. Emotional eating is one of the biggest barriers for a lot of people that not only want to lose weight, but keep it off long term as well. In today's episode, we're going to go through how to identify the triggers for that, why this is happening, healthier coping mechanisms, and giving you some strategies to help you deal with emotional eating when it happens. So first things first, let's look at why emotional eating happens. What are the reasons? What are the causes? Well, for a lot of people, there are going to be different reasons why they emotionally eat. For some of us, it's going to be stress. For others, it might be boredom. For some, it might be their emotions. But why does this happen? When we're in stressful situations, our stress hormone cortisol spikes. When this happens, a lot of us crave high sugar, high fat foods to give us that feel good factor and reduce those levels of cortisol in the short term. And it works really well. That's why so many people use food as a way to deal with their stress. You then got boredom. A lot of people, they use food to fill in that void when they are bored. And for some people, it's their emotions. Things like sadness, overwhelm, where they're utilizing food to give them that feel good factor, to help them overcome those challenging and lonely situations that they may be in. So bringing awareness to these triggers is super important. And one way you can bring awareness to this is to start keeping a journal. And when you do find yourself emotionally eating, look at the lead up. What actually happened in the lead up to that? Was it when you were in a certain situation? Was it when you were in a certain environment? Was it when you were around certain people? And the more you can bring awareness to the triggers, the easier it's going to be for you to start putting things in place to overcome that. So that is the first thing that we need to be looking at. We need to look at the triggers and bring an awareness around those triggers for ourselves. Now, what are some things that we can do to help us alleviate these triggers when it happens? Ultimately, it is about building better coping mechanisms. Now, with regard to building better coping mechanisms, one thing that I love to do with my clients first and foremost, specifically if they are in a stage of wanting to lose some weight, is making sure that one, they're giving their body the fuel it needs. Because like we mentioned, one of the reasons why people emotionally eat is because of high levels of stress. Now, what happens when you're dieting and you're on really low calories? You're increasing that internal stress load on your system. So we want to eliminate that as fast as we can. Now, in order to do that, it's simply eating more food and nourishing your body a little bit better. Now, if you don't know how much calories you should be eating, then feel free to drop me a comment down below, and I'll be more than happy to send you over my free Kickstart guide that'll help you work out how many calories you should be consuming every single day to minimize that stress on your body. Now, once we've done that, we can start looking at other ways that we can stay on track. So one way we can stay on track alongside ensuring we've got enough calories is preparing for that. So making sure that we've planned and prepared some food or some easy accessible snacks for when things are getting stressful or when we are bored. Because at least that way you've got things prepared, and then you're not just raiding the cupboards for foods that probably don't serve us in the short term. As well as doing that, we want to be looking at our stress and management of that. And one thing I love to do with my clients is something called a self-care menu. This is where you build a menu of feel-good factors that allow you to de-stress, unwind, and decompact. Now, the reason why we call it a self-care menu is because a lot of people associate lists with having to finish everything on the list. Like if I tell you you've got a list of things to do, that in itself can just be overwhelming thinking about a bigger list of stuff. But with a menu, just as you go to a restaurant, you'd pick maybe a starter, a main, and a dessert. And the same goes for your self-care menu. And how I like to structure my self-care menus is 5-minute recharges, 10 to 15 minute recharges, and then 20 to 25-minute plus recharges as well. And what we want to be doing at the beginning of each week is looking at our menu and planning things in. One day you might do this, another day you might do that, another day you might do this. So what you're doing is you're actively looking to manage your stress rather than reactively. Because sometimes when stress levels get too high, more often than not, unless you've got the awareness around it, it's too late. We're already in the cookie jar or cracking open that bottle of wine to deal with the stressful situation. So doing a self-care menu where you're picking things in advance is allowing you to keep that stress as a minimum. And it serves a couple of purposes. One, it gives you something to look forward to, because a lot of us live in a life of work, eat, sleep, repeat. So having these things to look forward to is going to definitely help you think more positively and help you de-stress. Secondly, it's going to help you overcome these challenges you're facing, whether it's boredom, whether it's stress. You're putting things in place ready for that. So that's the second thing you need to be doing, is utilizing the healthy coping mechanisms. And they could be anything. It could be taking up a hobby. It could be reading a book, having a self-care night, doing a date night with your partner. It could be absolutely anything. So take a little bit of time to work on this. And the last thing I want to talk about is the strategy that I use very successfully for myself personally, but also thousands of my clients over the past couple of years, which is called the BOLD technique. And this is an acronym for breathe, observe, label, and decide. This is when the pre-planned self-cares have not worked as like we'd like them to work, okay? So basically what we want to be looking at is when we get in a stressful situation, or a situation where we feel we're gonna end up emotionally eating, is we actually implement the BOLD technique. So first off, we breathe. We take a couple of deep breaths. Once we take these deep breaths, automatically it starts reducing that stress and anxiety. What that then allows us to do is observe the actual feelings that are going on, okay? Like, is it boredom? Is it physical hunger? Like, what is it actually we're struggling with? Once we've observed what's going on, we can then label it as physical hunger, emotional hunger, and actually looking at what we want from that situation, and then we decide. Now, if it is physical hunger, because you've taken the time to breathe, observe, label, you can then make a better choice with regards to nutrition rather than just reaching for the first thing that comes to mind, okay, which can often lead to overeating. If it is emotional hunger, then we can then refer to things that make us feel better in that situation. We can refer to our self-care menu and then utilize something from that, which will allow us to de-stress, decompact in that situation. Now, if you implement these techniques, bring in awareness, look at healthy coping mechanisms, the BOLD technique, over time, with practice, it's going to help you massively overcome the emotional eating. Now, as always, if you need any help and support with this, there is a ton of stuff inside our community, which covers emotional eating, stress eating as well, support and accountability alongside that, and that's linked down below. But make sure you smash a like on this, share it with something that's going to benefit, and don't forget, guys, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Until next time, have an absolutely amazing week, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.